What's up, everybody? It's Dylan D. Dyslexia back. Actually, it's the first time ever in the HQ studio that me and Shane built. So we have our first guest, Gianna.
Hi guys.
Thank you
What's
for
up?
coming.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give a little background? We were like acquaintances.
Yes,
So we both went to Mayapack.
we did. I was like I didn't have a group. I didn't like have a friend group. I like hung out with like some of the basketball guys because I grew up with them. Some of the theater kids because I helped Miss Velez with the theater and costumes, and it was all over the place.
That's awesome. So what are you doing modern day?
I'm working. I do work in retail, which is around this time of year, just
Crazy.
awesome. But I'm going to school for psychology to be a high school counselor. Because shout out Miss Boyle, I know you shout out Miss Cummins in
Yep,
your speech.
I did.
They really like formed what I wanted to do, and especially Miss Boyle formed what I wanted to do, and that's what I'm going
What are you going for? What is that thing?
for high school counseling.
That's it.
Oh yeah,
Why?
I want to help people. It's pretty much why I wanted to do this,
Yeah.
and just I also like to talk people through things. And I felt like regular therapy wasn't like enough. I was like, it's not enough. It's not like making enough of an impact because like when you're in high school, you go through a lot of changes, and that's when you need somebody to really like help pick you up and help you out.
That's I really appreciate that, and I love that. Where do you think that comes from? The wanting to help people.
Um, Truthfully, through my studies of psychology, I know partially it's from trauma, but I know that it's just how I've been. Like ever since I was little, like I would always see the kids that were different or couldn't do the things that I could do, and I wanted to be friends with them. I was like, I want to be friends with them. I want them to know that they have somebody there and just like help those people out. So it's been a lifelong thing.
That's awesome. What would you say your biggest life lesson you've learned chasing that I want to help people? Doing something bigger than you are.
Biggest life lesson within that,
Yeah.
know your boundaries, because there's helping people and then there's doing for people, and that like comes with a lot of learning and growing, that like you can help somebody, you can be there for them, but you also can't like fix anyone. Getting more on the deeper side, you
Yeah.
can't fix anybody, you can't change someone. And kind of learning that within myself, like knowing, be there for yourself too, and respect your own boundaries that you'll make within your growing.
You're very wise for your age. Where do you think
Thank
that
you.
comes from?
Trauma.
Can
Also
we
trauma,
can we
yeah.
kind of dive in on that?
Yeah, absolutely, go ahead.
So hit me with kind of your background and where trauma comes from, because I don't know how familiar with my background, but there's quite a bit of it.
Yeah. So I did mention to you when we were talking, I grew up in a family dynamic that unfortunately is becoming more common, but the dynamic of having an addict in your family. And it was my older brother. And so for me, in our household, I have two brothers, but I mostly only lived with one because the other one was much older. He's my half brother. Um, so living in that and kind of dealing with all of the things that he was going through in your face, but then also growing up, because it started when I was like 12.
Yeah.
So growing up through that and kind of being like, hey guys, what do I have to do to like get noticed or get help if I needed it? And times I did. It definitely alters your brain chemistry and like alters the way that you behave. And when I was younger, it was much more about acting out, lashing out, hanging out with the wrong people, doing the wrong things. And now as I've grown up and I've, made many mistakes, you kind of realize it's like, okay, well, you either need to get your stuff together or you're just going to keep doing the same thing. It's like a cycle.
Change nothing, nothing changes.
Exactly.
Can you lighten me on what you meant by mistakes? You made a lot of mistakes.
More so, it's hard because I don't love the word mistake because, like you said, wise behind beyond my years. If it's a learning lesson, it wasn't a mistake to me. So when I was younger, I like latched onto people, whether it was friends, family members, or relationships. So I would look at a lot of my past relationships and be like, oh, like, God, no, why would I ever do that? But then being where I am now, I'm like, I would never give that back because I learned so much, not only about myself, but about how other people might work and how other dynamics work. So I guess mistakes is the wrong word to use, but like lessons.
So who gave you that perspective? Because I talk about that all the time, but a lot of kids our age don't
Don't
look
get
at
it.
them or don't get it
Mm-hmm.
as an opportunity to grow, learn, move
Yeah.
forward.
The only thing is, I guess it comes from experience. And while I was showering, getting ready to come here, I was actually thinking, I'm like, what are we going to talk about? Um, that's something I recognized immediately, just like in us talking, that not everybody knows and understands, like, you can learn from something. And as long as you learn from it, it wasn't a loss. And I think that comes from having one big, like, canon event. Like I'm not familiar with what yours is, but I know for me, like it was my growing up, my trauma, like that was my big event for me that kind of gave me a reality check and was like, things could be really bad, but you could also learn from them and then it won't be as bad because you'll either not make that same mistake again or you'll know how to handle it better the next time. So I think that's just from like pure experience.
Yeah, for me, my event was just it started when I started the orphanage
Hmm.
because you start with fighting for your food, and then everything is up from there. Like
Yeah.
even if there's other things that happen, there's everything's up from there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So if you didn't go to college at all,
I did.
you did.
I did a semester at New Haven
Okay.
University in
Paint
New
the
Haven,
picture.
Connecticut. Well, we were the lovely COVID year, so it was
We
just
were
great.
classic COVID.
I went and at the time was in a relationship, and it obviously it wasn't how college was supposed to be. Like if I went in a normal year, it would have been awesome. Like my cousin was on the football team, there would have been parties, and like everyone would have hung out, and like I loved my roommate.